Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. A temporary factory worker has been charged with murder after a woman's body was found partially clothed on the side of Christian Quarry Road off East 9th Street Tuesday morning. Hopkinsville Police spokesman Officer Paul Ray reports 44-year-old Tremel Jerome Smith of Kenwood Drive was interviewed by detectives and subsequently arrested in the death of the woman, identified as 50-year-old Susan James of Hopkinsville. Police responded to the scene around 6:45 Tuesday morning after a motorist passing by saw the body of a white female lying on the side of Christian Quarry Road. Ray told Source 16 Wednesday that Susan James' body was found partially clothed, and the coroner did not see any visible stab wounds or gunshot wounds. Christian County Coroner Doris Lamb confirmed to Source 16 last night that there was trauma to her head. According to the police report, investigations led to Tremel Smith, and an interview was not consistent with evidence and statements already obtained. Smith reportedly admitted to being with Susan James during the evening hours, and police say his story did not match up with things discovered during the investigation. Officer Ray says James' vehicle was found yesterday afternoon at the dollar store on East 7th Street. At this time, he notes police do not know the relationship between the two. Smith is lodged in the Christian County Jail. Well, the final sentencing of a Clarksville man found guilty of wanton murder of a Fort Campbell soldier has been postponed. 21-year-old Antoine Rouse's final sentencing was scheduled today, but instead his attorney, Brandy McEldowney, filed a motion for a new trial. Christian County Circuit Court Judge Andrew Self scheduled a hearing to discuss the motion for a new trial March 17th. As previously reported by Source 16, a jury found Rouse guilty of wanton murder and recommended a sentence of 20 years in prison in the death of 23-year-old Joshua Rogers of Woodville, Texas. In addition to murder, jurors convicted Rouse of driving under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident. Rogers, a Fort Campbell soldier, was killed February 16, 2010 after Rouse hit his car head-on as Rouse was attempting to turn onto Kentucky 115 Pembroke Oak Grove Road from State Line Road. During his trial, experts testified that Rouse was under the influence of alcohol and that traces of marijuana was in his system at the time of that fatal crash. Well, the Christian County School Board will be meeting tomorrow night during a special called meeting. Following the meeting and closed session at 5 o'clock, the board will discuss taking action on appealing the commissioner's action to disband Christian County High School's site-based decision-making council and have the newly appointed members have an advisory role. In addition, the board will also discuss the Christian County District Leadership Assessment Report. Meanwhile, a special meeting will be held for the Christian County High School Site-Based Decision-Making Council Thursday night at 7 in the library at the high school. Members will be discussing whether or not to take all necessary and proper actions to appeal the Commissioner's February 17th final determination to override recommendations of the Scholastic Audit Team. Members will also discuss electing representatives of the council to serve on the Special Litigation and Appeal Commission. In addition, the board will discuss the employment of Dan Thomas of Thomas and Darvin to investigate the issues, make recommendations to the litigation committee, and represent the council. The board will also be discussing the district audit team recommendations and CCHS individual audit team recommendation. Christian County Cares 2015 wants you to learn from some of the world's most influential leadership voices. Christian County will serve as a host broadcast site for this year's Chick-fil-A LeaderCast in May. The live simulcast event will feature 11 recognized voices in leadership, like best-selling author and nationally syndicated radio personality Dave Ramsey, head coach of the Texas Longhorns and 2009 Coach of the Year Mac Brown, and Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts. The site still has to be determined, but Vice President of Community Relations Jeremy Stevenson says anyone who attends will help strengthen the voice of Christian County's current and future leaders.
And really experience anytime that you're in a room with like-minded people and you're bouncing ideas off one another and the conversation gets going. It's amazing sometimes where it can go.
The Chick-fil-A LeaderCast will be held on May 6th from 7 in the morning until 4:30 that afternoon. Registration is $55 per ticket. There are price breaks for people purchasing 5 or more tickets. Lunch and a workbook are included. Now, if you are interested, contact Jeremy Stevenson at the Chamber 270-885-9096. Well, the Hopkinsville City Council unanimously approved to authorize flasher lights and also established school speed limits during last night's meeting. Ward 12 Councilman Philip Brooks says it was very important to approve the ordinance that passed in its first reading.
You're talking about the safety of children, particularly over on the Glass Avenue area. You have a lot of students who walk to and from school on a daily basis, and particularly with spring slowly approaching, you're going to have a lot of kids walking throughout that area, and it would be very dangerous if we did not do something about that as quickly as possible.
Meanwhile, council members approved the financing of the landfill vertical expansion Lachey treatment facility located on Latham Mount Zor Road.
It is very expensive, number one, but if this process is not done correctly, it can create contaminants in our groundwater, ground drinking water, and things of that nature. So the chemicals and things that they use are very important. And when you start talking about contaminants in your water, you're not talking about just things as cholera and so forth, but you're talking about metals that can get in our drinking waters and things of this nature, which could create even more biohazards. So therefore, when you're talking about this process, you're talking about something that's very detrimental to all the citizens of Hopkins.
In other action, the council approved a grant request worth up to $750,000 for a comprehensive anti-gang strategies and programs grant to provide evidence-based strategies in communities that coordinate prevention, intervention, enforcement, and reentry programs to reduce and control gang-related crime. In addition, council members authorized Mayor Dan Kemp to sign a 2009 Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application worth over $200,000, with the city matching 13% of the funds to purchase and install 3 generators to be placed at the municipal building, the police department, and the emergency communication center and Hopkinsville Fire Department. Well, Hopkinsville Boys and Girls Club Executive Director Roberto Serrano says he's hopeful the city will be awarded a federal grant worth thousands of dollars to help prevent gang activity. The U.S. Department of Justice, the Office of Justice Program, and the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Program are currently accepting applicants for its fiscal year 2011 anti-gang strategies and programs.
At the club, we believe that the teenagers in the community need more opportunities to enjoy themselves in a safe, positive environment.
As reported by Source16 last night, the program focuses on providing evidence-based strategies in communities that coordinate prevention, intervention, enforcement, and reentry programs to reduce and control gang-related crime. The city would be the primary applicant under the proposed project, and the Boys and Girls Club will be the administrator of the proposed program. The maximum grant request is $750,000. The city has until March 11th to apply for that federal grant. An Ohio County man is in jail facing sexual abuse charges from nearly 20 years ago. 63-year-old Carl Haven Hardesty of Beaver Dam was arrested by Kentucky State Police and charged with 15 counts of first-degree sexual abuse and 1 count of first-degree sexual abuse, victim under the age of 12. State Police spokesman Trooper Corey King reports the investigation was initiated in December 2010 when one of the victims reported the incident to the Beaver Dam Police Department. He said the first victim alleged the sexual abuse occurred nearly 20 years ago. While investigators were conducting interviews, police report 2 more victims surfaced alleging similar conduct of Hardesty. He was arrested and lodged in the Ohio County Detention Center. Clarksville police need your help in locating 2 armed robbery suspects. The robbery occurred December 28th of last year around 2:15 in the morning at the Minute Mart at 1230 Peachers Mill Road. Public Information Officer Jim Knoll says the armed robbers ran into the store from behind a dumpster and left on foot in the same direction. Knoll reports one of the suspects is a larger black male that seems athletic since he jumped onto the counter using no hands. The other robber reportedly had a distinctly smaller stature and maybe a smaller framed male or possibly a female with a lighter skin tone. If you have any information about the armed robbers, please call Crime Stoppers at 931-645-TIPS. And here's Hopkinsville Christian County Crime Stoppers Coordinator Paul Ray. This is this week's featured Fugitives of the Week.
This week, Hopkinsville police need your help locating 2 wanted fugitives. Police are looking for 48-year-old Richard McGregor Jr., who's wanted for probation violation. McGregor is a black male who stands 5 feet, 11 inches tall, and weighs 165 pounds. His last known address was the 500 block of West 17th Street. Police are also looking for 20-year-old Diedrich Deason Brody, who's wanted for probation violation. Brody is a black male who stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall, and weighs 170 pounds. His last known address was the 600 block of Vass Lane.
If you know where police can locate these wanted fugitives, and we've got cash waiting for you. Pick up your phone now and call our tips line at 887-TIPS. If your information leads to an arrest, Crime Stoppers will pay you a cash reward. And remember, we will never ask your name, and you will not have to appear in court. With this week's Fugitive of the Week, I'm Officer Paul Ray for Crime Stoppers.
Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $20 million. Friday's Mega Millions jackpot, $105 million.